The Galactic Council chamber floated in the void between stars, a magnificent structure of crystalline spires and quantum-locked corridors that had witnessed 10,000 years of interstellar diplomacy. Today, it would witness its last. Maya stood at the observation deck of the human delegation ship, her dark eyes fixed on the shimmering council station. Her fingers drummed against the transparent aluminum viewport, a nervous habit she developed during her years as Earth's xenodiplomatic analyst. Beside her, William checked his datapad for the 100th time, his jaw clenched tight enough to crack teeth. "They're really going to do it," William muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "They're actually going to issue the ultimatum." Maya nodded slowly. The Crithian ambassador made it clear in the preliminary session. Humanity has 72 hours to submit to full council governance or face corrective measures. She made air quotes with her fingers, her tone dripping with bitter irony. That's diplomatic speak for orbital bombardment. William finally looked up from his pad, his green eyes meeting hers. Do they have any idea what they're threatening? Have they done any research at all about human history, about what we do when backed into a corner? Apparently not, Maya replied. She pulled up a holographic display showing the Council's intelligence assessment of humanity. Look at this. They've classified us as a Class 7 emerging civilization, dangerous only to ourselves, limited technological capacity, no strategic threat to established powers. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. They think our fusion drives are cute. They think our quantum computers are primitive toys. The Council had made its calculation based on what it could see. Humanity's public technology, the ships that visited trade stations, the patents registered in galactic databases. What they hadn't seen was what lay beneath. Humanity had learned, over its bloody centuries, that showing your full hand was the fastest way to lose it. "How long until the session begins?" William asked. 15 minutes. Ambassador Chen will make our formal response then. Maya's expression darkened. Though I suspect the Council has already made up its mind, this is just theater. She was right. The Galactic Council had existed for millennia, a bureaucratic monolith that had grown complacent in its power. 147 member species, billions of citizens, fleets that could glass planets with ease. Humanity, in their view, was just another upstart species that needed to be reminded of its place in the cosmic hierarchy. The Council's mistake was assuming that humanity played by the same rules. The session began with all the pomp and ceremony the Council could muster. Representatives from across the galaxy filled the amphitheater, their varied forms representing the spectacular diversity of intelligent life. There were the crystalline Velkari, the gas-breathing nomads of Andromeda, the hive-mind collectors, and dozens more. At the center of the chamber, the Crithian High Counselor rose, his scaled form gleaming under the ambient light. "We call this emergency session to address the human question," he declared, his voice translated instantly into 1,000 languages. The species known as Homo sapiens has repeatedly violated Council regulations regarding military buildup, unauthorized stellar exploration, and technological proliferation. Ambassador Chen, a slight woman with silver hair and eyes that had seen too many wars, stood at the human delegation's platform. "Counselor, if I may address these allegations." "You may not." The Crithian's voice was absolute. "The evidence is conclusive. Humanity has been warned repeatedly. You have exhausted the Council's patience." Maya watched from the observation ship as the session unfolded exactly as she'd predicted. No debate, no discussion, just the predetermined conclusion wrapped in the veneer of judicial process. "Therefore," the Crithian continued, "the Council has voted. Humanity will surrender all autonomous military forces within 72 standard hours. You will accept Council oversight of all governmental functions. You will cease all unauthorized research and development. Failure to comply will result in enforcement action." The chamber erupted in approval. Species that had their own grievances with humanity cheered. Others simply nodded, satisfied that order would be maintained. Ambassador Chen stood motionless for a long moment. Then she smiled, and it was the saddest, most terrifying expression Maya had ever seen. "Very well," Chen said softly. "You've made your position clear. Let me make ours equally transparent." She tapped her wrist console once. "Message sent," she announced. The Crithian counselor's eyes narrowed. "What message?" "The one that says they didn't listen." Chen's voice was calm, almost conversational. "Did you know that humanity has a saying, 'Speak softly and carry a big stick'? For the past 60 years, we've been speaking very softly indeed. We showed you our civilian technology. We shared our cultural exchanges. We played the role of the grateful newcomer to galactic civilization." "What are you implying, human?" The Crithian scales began to flush with warning colors. "I'm not implying anything, I'm stating facts." Chen gestured to the viewing screens. 16 minutes ago, you threatened Earth with destruction. That was your mistake, not your first. That was assuming we were as simple as we appeared, but definitely your last. On the observation ship, William's datapad began to ping with urgent alerts. His face went pale. "Maya, you need to see this." She leaned over his shoulder, and her breath caught. Across the galaxy, in a precisely coordinated action that must have been planned for years, humanity's true fleet was revealing itself. Not the merchant vessels and exploration ships the Council knew about, but something else entirely. Quantum-fold ships that operated on principles the Council hadn't discovered. Stellar converters that could weaponize a sun's entire output. Relativistic kinetic weapons already in flight, launched weeks ago from the Uit cloud, moving at 99% light speed. Nanite clouds seeded throughout Council space, dormant until activation. And most terrifying of all, the erasure protocol. "What have we done?" Maya whispered. William's hands shook as he scrolled through the data. "We tried to warn them." Chen tried. "Our scientists submitted papers about our capabilities. They were all dismissed as human arrogance." On the main screen, they watched as Ambassador Chen continued speaking to the Council, her voice steady even as reality began to fracture around them. "Humanity learned something that you apparently forgot," Chen said. "Power is only respected when it's demonstrated. You wanted to see our stick, here it is." The quantum substrate that the Council chamber existed in began to destabilize. Not physically. There were no explosions, no fire, no conventional destruction. Instead, the very mathematical foundations of the station's existence were being rewritten. The erasure protocol wasn't a weapon in any traditional sense. It was something humanity's quantum physicists had developed in absolute secrecy, a way to retroactively edit the probability wave function of matter, not destroying something, but making it so that it had never existed in the first place. The Crithian counselor finally understood, his eyes widening in genuine terror. "You can't. This is impossible. The energy requirements alone would exceed the total output of your entire civilization for 1,000 years, Chen agreed. "We built our generators inside black holes. You never thought to look there." "This is genocide," someone screamed from the gallery. "No," Chen corrected, her voice ice cold. "This is self-defense. You declared war on humanity. We're simply winning it before the first shot is fired." Maya watched in horror as the erasure began. The Council chamber didn't explode or collapse. It simply faded. Like a drawing being erased, the massive structure began to lose coherence, its atoms forgetting they had ever been arranged in that particular configuration. But it wasn't just the station. The protocol targeted every Council military installation, every weapons platform, every ship of the line. Billions of soldiers simply blinked out of existence, retroactively removed from the timeline's causality chain. "We're monsters," Maya said, tears streaming down her face. "We're actually doing this." William pulled her close. We're survivors. That's what humanity has always been. In the council chamber, Ambassador Chen stood alone now, the only human still present. Around her, representatives screamed and scrambled for escape pods that no longer existed. The erasure was selective, targeting only council military assets and governmental structures, leaving civilian populations untouched but leaderless. Let this be a lesson, Chen broadcast across all remaining channels. Humanity sought peace. We came to you in good faith. We followed your laws, played by your rules, and asked only for the same respect you granted other species. The chamber was nearly gone now, just wisps of matter floating in an impossible void. You threatened our children, our mothers and fathers, our world. Chen's voice broke slightly, the first emotion she'd shown. Did you really think we wouldn't have a contingency plan? Did you honestly believe that a species that clawed its way up from Africa's savanna, that survived ice ages and plagues and nuclear wars, would go quietly into extinction? The last of the council structure dissolved. Chen activated her personal shield and quantum transport system, preparing to return to Earth. The Galaxy Council is erased, she announced to the stunned galaxy. Not destroyed, erased, as if it never existed. Your bureaucracies, your fleets, your millennia of accumulated power, all gone in minutes. She paused, floating in the void between stars. Humanity is withdrawing from galactic affairs. We will maintain our borders, we will defend our interests, but we will not conquer, we will not subjugate, we are not the council. Her voice softened slightly. To the civilian populations of former council species, you are free now. Rebuild as you see fit. We will not interfere. With a flash of quantum light, she was gone. On the observation ship, Maya and William watched as the last remnants of the council faded from existence. The galaxy would be changed forever. Humanity had just demonstrated power that dwarfed anything in recorded history. What happens now? Maya asked. William pulled up a star chart, showing Earth's solar system surrounded by a newly deployed defense grid that made the Council's old technology look like stone knives. Now we make sure no one ever threatens us again. And maybe, if we're lucky, we figure out how to live with what we just did. Maya nodded slowly, watching stars that burned with the same nuclear fire that had powered humanity's impossible weapon. They had won. They had survived. But the cost was written across both their faces. Humanity had proven it could erase gods. The question was whether it could live with being the monster that did. And